It was my objective to indicate to him that he was no longer in need of my aid, and that he should refrain from contacting me with his problems anytime he wanted to discuss them. I also asked him to refrain from approaching me with his problems. Additionally, I wanted to make it clear to him that he should not approach me with his problems, since doing so would be the wrong thing to do. During the course of my statement, I said that I did not make the most of the time that I spent with him, since I might have been with someone else who would not have infringed upon my trust. It is possible that I was with another individual at the time, as I said in my assertion. Not only was I aware of the fact that I was wasting my time with him, but it was also made very clear to me that I was doing so. Since then, he has evolved into a person who is pretty depressed, which has caused my parents to become concerned about him by increasing their level of concern. The consequence of this is that people are worried about him. Let me put it into perspective by saying that I am not the same as that. The decision that I made to exclude him has not been changed in any way, and there has been no change to that decision. To further add insult to injury, I do not intend to make any modifications to it in the near future. It is just not something that interests me to accomplish. They brought to my attention the fact that he needs my support, and they called my attention to the fact that we must not let this to completely destroy our connection with one another. These are the things that my mother and father brought to my notice. I arrived to the realization that it would be prudent for me to take action as a result of this consideration. I explained to them that it was unacceptable since I had done a lot for him, and if I hadn't intervened at that time, he would have put my girlfriend in danger. I said that it was a horrible thing to happen. I also said that it was a shame since I had spent a lot of time and effort helping him. I conveyed that it was a negative thing since I had done a lot for him despite the fact that it was a negative item. This meant that there was a chance that she might experience some kind of damage. It was quite a large amount of work that I had finished for him when I had finished it. Despite the fact that they told me that he is a child, which I was aware of, I continued to provide him with assistance on a daily basis, fought against a variety of bullies on his behalf, provided him with comfort, listened attentively, and aided him in overcoming the difficulties that he was experiencing. As a result of the fact that I was informed that, from my viewpoint, it was an activity that proved to be unproductive, I voiced my remorse over the amount of time that was spent. In addition to informing me that it was a negative impression of my brother, they also told me that they would never release me from duty in the event that he were to hurt himself as a result of our being away from the situation. It was said that they would never act in such a manner. Their declaration was that they would never release me from accountability, and they made that commitment. Therefore, in order to provide him with assistance for the time being, I have urged that they respect my request and comply with it. I am appreciative of your thoughtful evaluation. I came to the conclusion that it would be most useful to remove my brother from the group in order to prevent any possible ramifications. This insight came about as a result of the fact that my brother had sexual contact with my fiancée. My younger brother, who is also a male and is 16 years old, and I have had a strong connection with one another for as long as I can remember. We have been close friends for as long as I can remember. My younger brother and I have had a close friendship for as long as we can remember, going back to the beginning of our lives together before we were ever born. I am a young man who is now 17 years old at this very moment. I have always been his defender over the duration of our relationship, and the fact that there is just a very little age gap between us does not change the fact that I have always been his defender. This is the answer that he has come up with as a consequence of the many challenges that he has faced during the course of his life. Despite the fact that he constantly participates in physical exercise and eats a diet that is rich in nutrients, he is unable to lower his weight for some reason. This is because he has been bullied throughout his whole life, which has led to his being overweight. Also, he has been tormented during his entire life. Consequently, he has always been overweight as a result of this. The whole time this has been the case. As a result of the occurrence of this incident, which he abhors, he has been an unceasing target for bullies ever since it took place. He despises the event. A situation that he despises is the one in question. When he considers the reality that this condition already exists, he finds it very aggravating. In addition to this, he has a tendency to be too critical of himself and often has uneasiness in social situations. It is also a pattern that he has of doing this. Additionally, he has a tendency to be too judgmental of other persons with whom he interacts. In addition to that, he is the kind of person that takes whatever he does and tries for excellence in there. Through the years, I was able to successfully deal with a large number of bullies by playing the character of both his best friend and his brother. This allowed me to effectively deal with a lot of bullies. It was because of this that I was able to manage the situation in a manner that was more effective. In spite of the fact that we are both teens and that situations like this do not occur very often, I made an effort to help him since I was aware of the challenges he had when dealing with other people. I was making this effort because I was aware of the problems he had. Throughout the course of my life, he has continuously been one of my key worries, and despite the fact that we are both teenagers, I have made an effort to be of assistance to him. At the conclusion of the month of November, he went through a period of time that he found to be particularly challenging to cope with. He called it the most difficult time of his life. In order to make fun of him, this woman, whom he regarded in the highest regard, first admitted that he had feelings of affection for her, and then proceeded to engage in conversation with him after that. There was a practical prank that she pulled on him, and all of this was a part of it. The action was carried out with the intention of causing him to experience discomfort, and it was effective in accomplishing that goal. Almost immediately after that, she started making fun of him for his weight as well as the quirks that she perceived to be his character traits. This was the behavior that she exhibited since she was under the impression that he was overweight. The practice of calling him names was carried out by a few persons in the locker room with the intention of destroying his credibility. They acted in this manner with the intention of undermining his credibility. Through their activities, they were able to accomplish their goal of undermining his credibility, which they accomplished by behaving in this manner. Not only was it something that I saw directly, but it was also something that had a big impact on him on a personal level. It has been 3 weeks since I extended an invitation to him to attend a party with my girlfriend, who is 17 years old, and she has accepted my request to do so. I extended an offer to him to accompany my girlfriend where she was going. On the other hand, with regard to my invitation, he has not yet accepted it up to this point. I was there to offer him with the assistance that he needed in order to make the selections that he needed to make while he was in the process of picking an outfit and other stuff. Over the course of the days preceding up to the event, I acted as his personal cheerleader and offered to put him in touch with other people who shared his potential interests. I also offered to put him in contact with other individuals who are similar to him. Not only that, but I also assured him that I would put him in touch with other people who may be of assistance to him. In addition to that, I offered that I put him in contact with other individuals who have interests that are comparable to his own. He made it quite obvious that he would be willing to engage in conversation with the individuals who were the focus of the issue as he was delivering his comments. It would seem that he was successful in developing a relationship with one of the individuals who I introduced him to upon his first visit. I presented him to the individual in question. I made him familiar with a significant number of other individuals. The time that my girlfriend had just finished spending with me had just come to an end when she suddenly disappeared without a trace. Having just completed spending some time with her, I was leaving. I was left in a position of lack of knowledge about the events that had taken place. While I was entering a private room, I saw my brother and another guy engaging in sexual activity with one another. This occurred very shortly after I entered the room. Additionally, there was a man present. My jaw dropped when I saw them behaving in such a way. When I saw them acting in such a manner, my mouth fell to the floor. The fact that they were almost entirely naked gave me the idea that they had a degree of power that was fully and utterly overpowering. This occurred as a consequence of the fact that they were naked in almost every sight. I gave her the instruction to keep a certain distance from the other person when the relationship had finally come to an end. Additionally, I advised her to maintain a safe distance from the other individual. After that, I made my way back to my vehicle and immediately called my parents' phone number in order to make a request for them to come and take him up. I took this action in order to guarantee that he would not be in danger. It was made quite obvious to me that during the whole of that extended amount of time, I would not be permitted to continue to be there in the car with him on my own. I did not move from my seat in the car during the whole of the time that my father was driving us back to our house after picking him up. I stayed sat throughout the entire procedure. During that particular moment, he was the one who was driving the automobile. Although I informed our parents about the event and they informed me that he wanted to apologize, I did not give him the chance to express his desire to apologize. I did not offer him the opportunity to apologize. I failed to provide him with the opportunity to express regret. It was my intention to offer him the opportunity to apologize, but I did not succeed in doing so. My brother has been making an attempt to apologize and make apologies for the issue, despite the fact that I have repeatedly stopped him and left the room. I have been doing this. Throughout the whole process, he has been making these efforts. The present situation has been brought to my attention, and I apologize for it. It has been determined that he will not be present at the celebration that is scheduled to take place, and this determination has just been made. On the other hand, despite the fact that my parents had asked that I make an effort to listen and forgive, I did not comply with their request over the course of the conversation. I did not have any intention of listening to you and forgiving you. Before Christmas, I gave him the instruction to cease communicating with me since I had already decided to end our relationship. I had already made the choice to end our relationship. I had already settled on the conclusion that we should no longer be together. There was no question in my mind that I would put an end to our relationship. I had already made up my mind about it.